Listen carefully. 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. It is a filtering mechanism, a silent test that will separate those who understand power from those who still believe the world operates on fairness. Most people will enter this year carrying the same delusions they have always held. They will assume that hard work alone guarantees success, that honesty is always rewarded, that good intentions protect them from exploitation. These beliefs are not just naive, they are dangerous. They leave you exposed, predictable, and vulnerable to those who see the world as it truly is. A chessboard where every move matters and hesitation is punished without mercy. The truth that most refuse to accept is simple. The world does not reward the moral, it rewards the strategic. It does not elevate the pure of heart. It elevates those who understand human nature deeply enough to navigate it without being crushed by it. This is not cynicism, this is observation. Look around you. The people who rise are rarely the most ethical. They are the most calculated. They know when to speak and when silence serves them better. They know when to appear weak and when to strike with precision. They understand that power is not seized through force alone, but through positioning, patience, and the ability to read what others cannot see. In 2026, this dynamic will intensify. The systems that once provided stability are fracturing. Economic structures are shifting. Social contracts are dissolving. The institutions people trusted to protect them are revealing themselves to be fragile, self-interested, and often corrupt. This creates chaos for the unprepared, but opportunity for those who have trained themselves to think strategically. While others panic and search for someone to blame, you will be positioning yourself to take advantage of the disorder, not through reckless aggression, but through cold, deliberate calculation. The Machiavellian mindset is not about cruelty for its own sake. It is about survival and dominance in a world that does not care about your feelings. It is about recognizing that people operate from self-interest, fear, and desire, and learning to use that knowledge without apology. Most people are controlled by their emotions. They react instead of respond. They reveal their intentions too early. They trust too easily and are shocked when betrayal arrives. You must be different. You must learn to observe without reacting, to listen without revealing, to move without announcing your direction. Power in 2026 will belong to those who can detach emotionally while remaining strategically engaged. This means you no longer take things personally. When someone betrays you, you do not collapse into anger or self-pity. You observe the betrayal as information. What does it tell you about their character? What does it reveal about their vulnerabilities? How can this knowledge be stored and used later when circumstances favor you? This is how strategic minds operate. They do not waste energy on revenge fantasies or emotional outbursts. They collect data, adjust their positioning, and wait for the right moment to act. You must also understand that visibility is not always strength. In fact, in many situations, visibility makes you a target. The person who speaks the loudest in the room is often the one with the least real power. True power moves quietly. It does not need to announce itself because it has already arranged the board in its favor. In 2026, you will see many people desperately trying to be noticed, to be validated, to be seen as important. They will broadcast their plans, their goals, their victories. This is a mistake. Every time you reveal your strategy, you give others the opportunity to interfere, to copy, or to sabotage. The Machiavellian approach is different. You move in silence. You let others speculate. You allow your actions to speak only when the outcome is already secured. One of the most underestimated weapons in the strategic arsenal is patience. Most people are controlled by urgency. They want results now. They want recognition immediately. They want their efforts to be rewarded before they have truly compounded. This impatience makes them weak. It forces them into bad decisions, premature moves, and unnecessary exposure. You must train yourself to operate on a different timeline. You must become comfortable with delayed gratification, with building in obscurity, with planting seeds that will not bear fruit for months or even years. This patience is not passivity. It is control. It is the ability to hold your position while others exhaust themselves chasing short-term wins. Machiavelli understood something that most modern people have forgotten. Appearances matter more than reality in the eyes of the masses. People do not judge you based on who you truly are. They judge you based on what you allow them to see. This means you can shape perception deliberately. You can appear harmless while being dangerous. You can seem cooperative while pursuing your own agenda. You can project confidence even when you are still building your foundation. The key is consistency. Whatever mask you choose to wear must be worn convincingly and without cracks. The moment people sense inconsistency, they begin to distrust you. And once trust is lost, influence becomes far more difficult to regain. In 2026, social dynamics will become even more complex. Technology has given everyone a platform, but it has also made everyone more transparent. People leave digital trails everywhere. They reveal their insecurities through what they post, their alliances through who they engage with, their weaknesses through what they avoid discussing. If you are observant, you can learn almost everything you need to know about a person without them ever realizing they have told you. This is the modern form of reconnaissance. You do not need spies when people willingly broadcast their inner lives to the world. Your job is to watch, to analyze, and to store that information for when it becomes useful. But while you are gathering intelligence on others, you must also be disciplined about what you reveal. Every piece of information you share is a potential weapon that can be used against you. This does not mean you should be paranoid or closed off entirely. It means you should be selective. Share only what serves your goals. Reveal only what strengthens your position. Keep your true thoughts, your real plans, and your deeper motivations locked away where only you have access. This creates asymmetry. You know more about others than they know about you, and asymmetry is advantage. Another principle that will define success in 2026 is adaptability. The world is changing faster than most people can process. What worked last year may be obsolete tomorrow. Strategies that once guaranteed success may now lead to failure. The Machiavellian mind does not cling to outdated methods out of sentimentality or pride. It adapts. It observes what is working in the current environment and adjusts accordingly. This requires you to kill your ego. Ego makes you rigid. It makes you defensive when your ideas are challenged. It makes you double down on failing strategies because admitting error feels like weakness. But true strength is in flexibility. The person who can change direction without emotional turmoil is the person who survives when systems collapse. You must also become skilled at reading incentives. People rarely say what they truly want. They disguise their desires behind polite language, social norms, and moral posturing. But if you look at what they do rather than what they say, the truth becomes clear. Actions reveal incentives. When someone claims to value loyalty but constantly shifts alliances, you know loyalty is not their true priority. When someone preaches humility but seeks every opportunity for recognition, you know their ego drives them. Your job is to see through the performance and understand the underlying motivation. Once you understand what someone truly wants, you can predict their behavior. And prediction is control. In 2026, many people will be operating from fear. Economic instability, social fragmentation, and political chaos create anxiety. Anxious people are easier to influence because they are desperate for certainty, for answers, for someone to follow. This creates opportunities for those who can project calm and confidence. If you can remain steady while others panic, you become a reference point. People will gravitate towards you not because you have all the answers, but because you appear unshaken. This perception alone grants you influence. And once you have influence, you can guide outcomes in directions that benefit you. But influence must be used carefully. The Machiavellian understands that overt control breeds resistance. People do not like to feel manipulated. They do not want to believe they are being led. So you must learn to guide without appearing to push. You plant ideas and let others believe they came up with them. You create situations where the choice you want them to make seems like the obvious one. You remove obstacles quietly so that the path you prefer becomes the path of least resistance. This is the art of invisible influence. It requires patience, subtlety, and a deep understanding of human psychology. One of the most dangerous traps you can fall into is the need to be liked. Likability is a weakness when it becomes a priority. The moment you start making decisions based on how others will perceive you, you have surrendered your agency. You are no longer acting from strategy. You are reacting to social pressure. The Machiavellian does not seek to be loved. He seeks to be respected, and when necessary, feared. Respect comes from competence, consistency, and the ability to deliver results. Fear comes from the understanding that crossing you has consequences. You do not need to be cruel to generate fear. You simply need to be known as someone who does not tolerate disrespect, betrayal, or incompetence. Once that reputation is established, most conflicts resolve themselves before they begin. In 2026, you will encounter people who try to test you. They will push boundaries to see how you respond. They will probe for weakness, for emotional reactions, for signs that you can be manipulated. Your response to these tests will define how you are treated moving forward. If you react emotionally, if you defend yourself with desperation, if you seek to explain and justify, you signal weakness. But if you respond with calm, with measured consequences, with a refusal to engage in unnecessary drama, you signal strength. Strength does not need to prove itself. It simply is. And once others recognize that strength, they adjust their behavior accordingly. You must also learn to compartmentalize. Not everyone in your life needs to see every side of you. Different contexts require different versions of yourself. At work, you may need to be diplomatic and cooperative. In competitive environments, you may need to be ruthless and unyielding. In personal relationships, you may allow warmth and vulnerability. But these versions should be controlled and deliberate, not random or emotional. The Machiavellian is not fake. He is strategic. He understands that context determines behavior, and he adjusts without losing his core sense of self. This requires self-awareness and discipline, but it is essential for navigating complex social landscapes. Another principle that separates the strategic from the naive is the understanding that loyalty is conditional. People will remain loyal to you as long as it serves their interests. The moment circumstances change, loyalty evaporates. This is not a moral failing, it is human nature. The Machiavellian does not resent this. He expects it. He does not build his security on the loyalty of others. He builds it on his own capabilities, his own resources, and his own ability to create value. When you are valuable, people have a reason to stay aligned with you. When you are not, they leave. This is why you must constantly be developing skills, building leverage, and positioning yourself so that others need you more than you need them. In 2026, dependency will be weaponized. Those who rely too heavily on a single source of income, a single relationship, or a single identity will be vulnerable. Disruption will come without warning, and those who cannot adapt will be crushed. The strategic mind builds redundancy. Multiple income streams, multiple skills, multiple networks. This is not paranoia, it is preparation. When one path closes, you have others already in place. This creates resilience, and resilience is the foundation of long-term power. You must also become comfortable with solitude. The higher you rise, the fewer people will be able to relate to you. Your decisions will be misunderstood. Your restraint will be mistaken for weakness. Your silence will be interpreted as arrogance. This is the cost of strategic living. Most people cannot operate at this level because they need constant validation, constant connection, constant reassurance. You must train yourself to find validation internally. You must become your own source of certainty. This does not mean you isolate completely. It means you choose your company carefully and you do not allow the opinions of others to destabilize your direction. The Machiavellian also understands that timing is everything. The right move at the wrong time fails. The wrong move at the right time can still succeed. This means you must develop a sense of rhythm, of when to act and when to wait. You watch for moments when circumstances align in your favor. You notice when others are distracted, weakened, or overextended. You recognize when the environment is ready for the change you want to introduce. And when that moment arrives, you move decisively, not with hesitation, not with doubt, but with the full weight of your preparation behind you. In 2026, many will be caught off guard by how quickly things change. They will be slow to adapt because they are still emotionally attached to the way things used to be. You cannot afford this sentimentality. The past is information, not identity. You extract lessons from it and move forward. You do not cling to old methods, old relationships, or old versions of yourself that no longer serve your goals. This ruthless pragmatism is what allows the Machiavellian to thrive in chaos while others collapse. You must also learn to manage perception without becoming obsessed with it. Yes, appearances matter. Yes, reputation is a tool. But if you spend all your energy trying to control how others see you, you will exhaust yourself. The balance is this. Be aware of how you are perceived, shape it when necessary, but do not let it dictate your decisions. Your primary focus should always be on results, on positioning, on building real power. Perception is secondary. It supports power, but it is not power itself. Real power is the ability to influence outcomes, to shape environments, to make things happen regardless of whether others approve. Another critical skill for 2026 is the ability to identify and exploit leverage. Leverage is anything that gives you disproportionate influence over a situation. It could be information others do not have. It could be a skill that is rare and valuable. It could be a relationship with someone in a position of authority. It could be resources that others need. The Machiavellian is always asking, where is the leverage in this situation? Who has it? How can I acquire it? How can I use it without revealing that I have it? Leverage is the force multiplier that allows you to achieve outcomes far beyond your apparent resources. You must also become skilled at concealing effort. People respect results, but they are often uncomfortable with the amount of work required to achieve them. If you appear to struggle, you seem weak. If you appear to succeed effortlessly, you seem powerful. This is why the Machiavellian hides his preparation. He does the work in private and presents only the polished result. This creates the illusion of natural superiority, of effortless competence. And illusions, when maintained consistently, become reality in the minds of others. In 2026, emotional control will be your greatest asset. The person who can remain calm under pressure, who can think clearly when others are panicking, who can make decisions without being clouded by fear or anger, that person will dominate. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. It is about not allowing feelings to dictate behavior. You feel the anger, but you do not lash out. You feel the fear, but you do not freeze. You feel the excitement, but you do not become reckless. This discipline creates a gap between stimulus and response, and in that gap lies your power. You must also understand that most people are not your enemies. They are simply obstacles or irrelevant. The Machiavellian does not waste energy on unnecessary conflict. He avoids confrontation when it serves no purpose. He chooses his battles carefully, engaging only when the potential gain justifies the risk. This is not cowardice. It is efficiency. Every conflict drains resources, attention, and energy. If you can achieve your goal without conflict, you do. If conflict is necessary, you enter it with overwhelming preparation and a clear exit strategy. Another principle that will serve you in 2026 is the understanding that people are more predictable than they believe. They follow patterns. They repeat behaviors. They respond to the same incentives over and over. Once you identify someone's pattern, you can anticipate their moves. You can position yourself ahead of their decisions. You can create situations where their predictable behavior serves your goals. This is not manipulation in the malicious sense. It is strategic positioning based on accurate observation. You must also learn to use silence as a weapon. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They fill it with words, with explanations, with nervous chatter. This reveals far more than they intend. The Machiavellian uses silence deliberately. He asks a question and waits. He lets the other person fill the void. He observes what they choose to say, how they say it, what they avoid mentioning. Silence creates pressure, and under pressure, people reveal their true priorities. Silence also projects confidence. The person who is comfortable with silence appears secure, unbothered, in control. In 2026, you will need to become comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everyone will appreciate your restraint. Not everyone will recognize your strategy. Some will mistake your patience for weakness. Some will interpret your silence as ignorance. Let them. Their misunderstanding is your advantage. When people underestimate you, they lower their guard. They reveal information they would otherwise conceal. They make mistakes they would otherwise avoid. Your job is not to correct their perception. Your job is to use it. You must also develop the ability to walk away from bad deals, from toxic people, from situations that no longer serve you. Most people stay too long because they fear loss, because they've invested time and energy, because they hope things will improve. The Machiavellian cuts losses quickly. He does not throw good energy after bad. He recognizes when a situation is turned against him and exits before the damage compounds. This requires emotional detachment and a willingness to accept short-term loss for long-term gain. Another critical skill is the ability to read power dynamics in any room. Who defers to whom? Who speaks and who listens? Who makes decisions and who simply executes? These dynamics are often invisible to the untrained eye, but they determine everything. The Machiavellian enters a space and immediately begins mapping the power structure. He identifies the real decision-makers, the influencers, the gatekeepers. He does not waste time on those without power. He focuses his attention where it will have the greatest impact. In 2026, information will be more valuable than ever. But not all information is equal. The Machiavellian distinguishes between noise and signal. He ignores the constant stream of irrelevant data and focuses on the information that actually affects his goals. He also understands that information is only valuable if it is acted upon. Knowing something means nothing if you do not use that knowledge to adjust your strategy. This requires discipline. It requires you to filter ruthlessly, to ignore distractions, to stay focused on what truly matters. You must also learn to manage your reputation without becoming enslaved to it. Yes, reputation is a tool. Yes, it opens doors, but if you become too concerned with protecting your reputation, you will avoid necessary risks. You will hesitate when boldness is required. The Machiavellian understands that reputation can be rebuilt, but missed opportunities are often gone forever. He is willing to take calculated risks even if they temporarily damage his image, because he knows that results ultimately matter more than perception. Another principle that will define success in 2026 is the ability to create optionality. Optionality means having multiple paths forward at any given moment. It means not being locked into a single plan, a single relationship, or a single source of security. The more options you have, the more freedom you have. And freedom is power. The Machiavellian constantly works to increase his options. He builds skills that are transferable. He cultivates relationships across different domains. He saves resources so that he can move quickly when opportunities arise. This flexibility allows him to adapt to changing circumstances without panic or desperation. You must also become skilled at managing your energy. Not all tasks deserve the same level of effort. Not all people deserve the same level of attention. The Machiavellian is ruthlessly selective about where he invests his time and energy. He focuses on high-leverage activities, the ones that produce disproportionate results. He delegates or ignores low-value tasks. He conserves his energy for the moments that truly matter. This is not laziness, it is strategic efficiency. In 2026, the gap between those who think strategically and those who react emotionally will become a chasm. The strategic will rise, the emotional will struggle. The strategic will see opportunities where others see only chaos. The emotional will be paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. Your job is to place yourself firmly on the side of strategy, to train your mind to operate from logic, observation, and long-term thinking rather than impulse, emotion, and short-term gratification. You must also understand that power is not static. It must be maintained, defended, and occasionally recalibrated. The Machiavellian never becomes complacent. He understands that the moment he stops paying attention, someone else will begin positioning against him. He stays vigilant. He continues to develop his skills. He monitors his environment for changes. He adapts his strategy as circumstances shift. This constant vigilance is exhausting for most people, but for the strategic mind, it becomes second nature. Another principle that will serve you well is the understanding that most people want to be led. They want someone to provide direction, to make decisions, to take responsibility. If you can position yourself as that person, you gain influence by default. But leadership in the Machiavellian sense is not about serving others. It is about guiding them in directions that also serve your interests. You provide value, you solve problems, you create order, and in return you gain loyalty, resources, and influence. In 2026, you will face moments where you must choose between being liked and being effective. Choose effectiveness every time. Likability is fleeting, effectiveness compounds. The person who consistently delivers results will eventually be respected, even if they are not loved. And respect in the long run is far more valuable than affection. You must also learn to recognize when someone is testing you. Tests come in many forms. A small betrayal to see if you notice. A boundary crossed to see if you enforce it. A challenge to your authority to see if you defend it. Your response to these tests determines how you will be treated moving forward. If you let small violations slide, larger ones will follow. The Machiavellian responds to tests swiftly and proportionately. He makes it clear that certain behaviors will not be tolerated. And once that boundary is established, most people will respect it. Another critical skill is the ability to delay gratification. Most people are controlled by their immediate desires. They want pleasure now, comfort now, validation now. This makes them predictable and easy to manipulate. The Machiavellian trains himself to endure discomfort, to wait for better opportunities, to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. This discipline creates a massive advantage because it allows you to make decisions that others cannot. In 2026, the world will not slow down for you. It will not wait for you to be ready. It will not care about your feelings or your excuses. The only question that matters is this: are you prepared to think strategically, to act decisively, and to position yourself for power regardless of how others perceive you? If the answer is yes, then you are already ahead of most. If the answer is no, then 2026 will be a year of struggle, confusion, and missed opportunities. The choice is yours. The world does not owe you anything. But if you master the principles of strategic thinking, if you learn to see the world as it truly is rather than as you wish it to be, then 2026 will not separate you from the weak. It will elevate you above them.